Guys, I am super psyched to have Kathreen Khavari on today. Not only does she play Miss Marvel in all of the Marvel animation stuff, but she's done a ton of film and TV and creates her own sketch comedy characters, which I am fascinated by, and I'll get into that soon. Hi and welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I really am very excited to be here.
Oh my God, you're a multi-talented, I want to say quadruple threat. I don't know if you sing and dance, but you do a ton of stuff.
But yes, thank you. I mean, I do sing and dance. I don't know if anyone wants to hear it. I do it for myself and for whoever will watch and listen, but it's not on a professional level by any means.
I dance alone in my room and I sing in the shower. So
yes.
You were born and raised in Oakland, California to immigrant Iranian parents.
Yes.
Fabulous. When did you start believing, understanding, loving that the acting bug bit you? Was it as a young kid?
Yeah, I was a young kid. I'm an only child. And so there was a lot of and I watched a lot of TV because it was the 80s and 90s and my parents were just like, great, here you go. I watched a lot of TV. And so because it was such a big part of my everyday life, I wanted to act very early on. And I used to again, I was an only child. So I used to watch things and then go back to my room and then reenact them. I'd practice crying in bed before it was time to go to sleep. It was just, I had to entertain myself. These are ways that I kept myself entertained.
Yeah.
And my parents knew it early on. I told them multiple times they were like, that's hilarious. You're not doing that. As a child, I was like, Dad, can you just be my manager? Can you just represent me and try to get me out there? And he was like, I will do no such thing. I am not throwing you out to the sharks. You do what you want when you grow up. I will not be a part of it. I was like, all right, well, there goes that. So that's kind of how my childhood went. And then at one point in high school, they were like, okay, go to college, do whatever, get a degree in something useful. And then you can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
So that was the deal when I was 16.
So you went to med school?
No, I didn't go to medical school, but I did go. I went to. I studied public health at Berkeley, and then while I was there, I took theater classes. I loved them. But it was one of those situations where I was like, oh, this is really impractical. I didn't tell a lot of people that I wanted to do it because I was in the sciences at that point. And it was weird to be like, oh, by the way, I also want to be an actor. I just felt I just couldn't bring myself to say it.
Yeah.
It was this deep, dark secret. And then I decided, okay, I'm just going to go the pre-med route. That's the best way forward. So I went straight to grad school right after undergrad. And I went to grad school.
Oh my God.
In London for a year. It was a 1-year master's program, and it was in London, and my school was right next to RADA, the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts. And so my bus would go by there every single day, and I'd longingly look out the window I need to be there right now. And also we got really, really great discounted theater tickets as students in London. We had the prices were great and the seats were wonderful. And so I saw a lot of theater there. And it just wasn't going away. It got worse in London. And so I remember just calling my mom while I was there.
It got worse.
It got so much worse. I called my mom. I was like, this isn't going away. And she's like, all right, whatever. You got your degrees. Come home, do whatever you want to do. And I was like, all right, cool. I really needed them to be okay with it because I'm an only child, and I was just I can't have them feel miserable. And then I just did whatever I could. I worked in public health in Oakland, and I took acting classes, whatever I could get my hands on, I did.
I know you've been on Big Little Lies, you've been on Insecure. When did you create your sketch comedy characters and do those videos? Was that before, in between?
That was before. So I had moved to New York after living in the Bay Area and doing whatever acting work I could get my hands on in the Bay Area. I moved to New York for a couple of years. And while I was in New York, I had done a play where I played 2 characters.
Mm-hmm. Where was the play?
The play was at oh God, I'm so bad at name recall. It was It was called You Are Dead, You Are Here. And afterwards, you know, people would come to me and be like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize it was like two people doing the same character until like afterwards. And I looked at the, you know, the program and da-da-da-da. And I was like, oh, cool. At the same time, I had these agents and managers that like kept sending me out for very like stereotypically detrimental Middle Eastern roles where it was just like, I was, you know, the wife of a terrorist, the daughter of a terrorist, a woman hiding in a cave.
Did you always need to wear a hijab and speak in an accent?
Almost always. And I was always, there was one where I was a terrorist undercover as a prostitute. That was hilarious. So I decided that I was gonna like, I always liked character stuff. I always liked doing accents. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna like write my own little sketch where I play a bunch of different people. So I spent 4 months doing that, sort of like writing it and honing it. And then I moved to LA, and a good friend of mine, Shahab Rudbari, who is a big stunt guy right now.
Can you tell me what year this was that you did this?
Yes. It was 2013.
Okay. Uh-huh.
It was end of 2013, and then we shot it end of 2013. He directed it, and he did everything. It was we were setting it up where it was like 11 people talking. It was a roundtable discussion, and I was all 11 people. And then I sent that out in 2014. At the top of 2014, I sent that out to like a bunch of publications. Upworthy reposted it. That's when it like ended up going kind of viral. And then I also sent it to a bunch of agents and managers. No, I just did managers, to a bunch of managers. And I was like, this is what I can do. You know, hey, I'm looking for representation. At that point, I knew that I didn't want someone who was going to like pigeonhole me into like terrorist roles. So I was blessed enough that I sent it to like 150 different managers. Like I was
Holy cow. So I wanted to ask you how you got the role of Miss Marvel, what it meant to you, how you felt the difference. Have you gotten to meet some of the fans? Have you gone to the Comic Cons or San Diego Comic Con with it? Like, it's such a big deal to have this character exist, you know, it's so beautiful. And they are making a TV show about it.
Yeah.
Know, right?
Yeah. It's huge. No, I mean, when I, before I had gotten the audition for it, a good friend of mine who is a big comic book head, he was like, oh, have you heard of this character, Ms. Marvel? She's the first like Muslim female character that Marvel has had that headlines her own series. Have you heard of her? And I was like, no, I haven't, but that's really, really cool. Because at that point, you know, I was also being very vocal about representation, especially for like, you know, Manasa characters and people. And, you know, he was telling about her. He was like, she's badass and da-da-da-da. And I was like, that's so cool. So he told me about her, like, I think it was in December. And then in January, I got the audition. And I was like, oh, cool. This is what, you know, my friend Steve was talking about. And then I submitted the audition, and like, as you know, you submit tons of auditions, you don't remember them, and then you forget all about it. And then it came back like, okay, you got this. And I was like, whoa, that's pretty cool. Like it was also my first animation role that I had gotten. And I was like, I didn't know how long it was going to last, because that was for Avengers Assemble. That was as like a recurring role in Avengers Assemble. And so when I first showed up to my first day of recording, I remember Colette Sunderman was like, welcome to the Marvel family. And I was like, cool. But I thought it meant like for the day. And I didn't know it was like, welcome to the Marvel family, because I didn't want to get too excited about it. So I was like, all right, welcome to the Marvel family for today. That's what was in my head. And then,
which is better than thinking that it's going to be this huge thing and then it's this tiny thing. So like, it's always better to have like low expectations.
Very low expectations. I have learned that is the way to always function in this world and in this business, especially. But and then it kept going, and then the Marvel Rising stuff came to be. And yes, I have gone to Comic-Con with it, with Marvel Rising. It was incredible. Interacting with the fans is the best thing in the world. It's so great, because it's so many like young fans, a lot of like fans that are who are Muslim, just incredibly underrepresented, you know, faction of society where Kamala means a lot to them.
What does she sound like, so that viewers can listen if they haven't yet?
Oh my goodness, is that Captain Marvel? Embiggen!
Oh wow, she's young. She sounds really young.
She's very young, and I think it's also because she's like she's just coming into her powers. You know, she's just learning about this, and she's still such a fangirl. she's always like loved comics. These are her heroes. She gets to work alongside her heroes.
Yeah.
So she's, so she's got a very like a youthful like joy about her.
Since Miss Marvel, have you done a lot more voice acting? Do you constantly go out for animations, or what's the world of voice acting like for you?
Yes, thankfully this past year has been really lovely. I just put on my Instagram, I did for a PS5 video game, Destruction All Stars. I'm Twinkle Riot, and then
what a great name.
Great name. She's very spunky. She's from the UAE, and
oh cool.
I am going to be.
Wait, does she speak with an accent?
She does have an accent. Yes.
Can you give us a flavor?
Sure. She's very cheerful. It's hello, I'm so excited to be here. Woohoo!
Oh my god, she's like Mario but Arab. It's me, a Twinkle Riot. I'm so curious to see what working on Insecure was like, because Issa Rae is just, a force of nature, and she's so talented, and she wrote her own stuff, and it was a web series that then became an HBO show, right? Yes, HBO.
Yes.
So what was that like, auditioning and then knowing you got it, and then like you're in this show that's doing so well, and you get to work with such a creator?
It was I mean, okay, so first of all, the way I had became acquainted with Issa was that I had known about Awkward Black Girl for a while. We had a web series in New York called Famous Farrah, and we ran ads for Famous Farrah on Awkward Black Girl's newsletter.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah, crazy. And then when I moved to LA and I released Brain of Terror, I had seen that Issa shared it on her Google. Was it called Google Plus? Is that what it was called then?
One of those. Yeah.
Whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had shared it there. And then the reps that I had just signed with, I was like, oh my gosh, Issa Rae just posted Brain of Terror. Like, can you set up a meeting with her? So then I had a general meeting with Issa, and we just sat down and chatted. And, I don't remember what we talked about, but it was a very nice meeting. And then after that, I kind of stayed in touch with her. And I had written a sketch, like a sketchuational comedy, kind of like Portlandia, with my writing partner, and we were going to do a table read. And I texted Issa and I was like, hey, would you come to my table read? This is before Insecure. And I was like, would you come to my table read? She was like, sure. Do you want to be in my HBO pilot? Except you won't have a line in it. And I was like, yeah, definitely. Thanks. This doesn't seem like an even exchange, but I'll take it. And so
I love that she's telling you won't have a line, but you're like, but this is still great.
And then I was able to be in her pilot, and then
the rest
that was that. Yeah. So she's just an incredibly wonderful person. She's very like, she really does, she didn't wait to like reach a certain level to extend opportunities to people that she knew. As soon as she had that opportunity, she passed it on, which I think is very admirable. And it's like very risky for her to do that, and she still did it.
So I do want to talk about Big Little Lies, but before, I need to hear all about Embrace. You produced this, you wrote it, you acted it, it went to festival. Like, tell me all.
Again, my writing partner and I wrote it in end of 2016. It's been a long journey. And then Refinery 29 came on as the producers. And then we shot like it was really like a concept short to help us with the pitch. And then they were like, oh, we're going to submit it to festivals. And we're like, all right, sure. Like, once we shot it, go ahead. We shot it. They sent it to festivals. Then like a couple months later, they were like, it got into Sundance. We're like, what? And so that was fun because we got to go to Sundance. And that was last year, right before the pandemic fully hit. Although I swear, I think I got COVID at Sundance, but my antibody test says otherwise.
Okay. But you got to go to Sundance.
I got
Holy
to go to
cow.
Sundance. And that was very, very, very cool. It was very surreal.
Talk to me about Big Little Lies. That show is fucking incredible. I've obviously enjoyed it. It's intense, it's funny, it's everything. I always like to know, like, what was the feeling when you booked it? Because you go, oh my God, like, this cast is insane. What was it like being on set? Like, I think on set is my favorite time of all time. So like, share a little bit of this experience.
Yeah. I mean, when I booked it, when I found out I booked it, I was in I was like walking around the streets of San Francisco. It was like Christmas Eve. I was with my family, and then I got a call from my reps, and I don't even know what I did. I think I might have like blacked out or something because I was just so excited and I couldn't believe it. And then I was like, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing that's ever happened to me. And then the first day of work, it was a table read, and they were all there. It was just, it was weird. The whole thing was very surreal and strange. Like there was, Nicole Kidman was there, and then Reese Witherspoon was just like so nice and like welcoming, and like went around and introduced herself to every single person, and it was very bizarre. Like it was like a dream sequence, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then being on set, like I met all the people that played parents on set, all the people that were in the interrogation room playing parents. We all became very close because we had like 2 weeks of night shoots.
Oh my God.
That it was practically, it was almost 2 weeks of night shoots. And so we were together from like whatever it was, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. in the freezing cold, in like dresses. And we really became very close. We're still on a group chat with each other. We still see each other. They're all very, very lovely people. Yeah. So it really was probably one of the best experiences that I had had.
So that's that, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Kat, you're fucking rad. I can't wait to see your project get picked up. It's so beautiful. Congratulations on that. Keep writing. I hope you get more video games, because the gaming community is actually really, really generous and embracing. I love being a part of it. So
oh yeah, I'm excited. Thank you so much. Absolutely. Thank you for having me on. This was super fun for me. So I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Guys, you keep booming and booping.